the one, the only Benzion. Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Nazir daf Memvav, number 46. There's a machlokas in the Mishnah, starting with Memhem Beis, carries over to the Gemara. Comes out, it's machlokas Rebbe and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon is like the Rabbanan we see in the Gemara that say that in order for the Nazir to end his period of Naziris, where now he's allowed to mitamal mesim and to drink wine, all you need is one korban of the three korbanos, chad, shalom, and ola, any one of them. Once the blood is on the mizbeach, that's the way of bringing hurtza, right? A korban is only brought once the blood goes on the mizbeach. That's it. You're allowed to drink wine and mitamal mesim. There's an opinion in the Mishnah, other opinion. Rabbi Lezer says, technically you have to do everything, including shaving your head and galachas, and bring all three korbanos, and tnufa, and waving the korbanos, which seemingly is ma'akiv, but only according to that opinion. But we passing the Rabbanan. It's clear we're passing the Rabbanan. Even one. And I mentioned you have three korbanos, chat, sol, and shlam. I've said many times in the Masechta that the chatas is really a korban for the kapara, for the avera that you did by abstaining from wine. Or as our kapara says, it's an avera to abstain from wine. The Ol and the Shlamim are not. An Ol is a doron that Hashem's giving you the right to bring karbanos to Him. It's a present you give to the King of Kings. Shlamim is to give to the Kohanim and to yourself, to everyone, to make peace between all of you, because the Kohanim are taking their time and their effort to bring karbanos on your behalf. But it has nothing to do. A Shlamim and Ol has nothing to do with kapara. They're never really used for kapara. The Chatas and the Ashram are for kapara. So I want to draw a distinction we made earlier, I believe, on Daf Mem Daled, where the Gemara distinguished between a Mitzora and a Zav, called Mechusrei Kapara, meaning the bringing of the Kohanim is Kapara, as opposed to a Nazir, the end of his Naziros, those are not called Kapara. It's not called Mechusrei Kapara. It's not called Mechusrei Kapara, even though the Chatas is a Kapara. We see clearly here, in order for him to end his Naziros, you don't need to bring the Chatas. You can even bring the Shlamim or the Ola, and that's good enough. So what's the distinction? What are the point of the Karbanos over here? And why does the Naziris end before getting kapara? So I'd like to offer the following thought. Obviously, the chatas is for a chait. That's the word chatas comes from a chait. He sinned in the fact that he abstained from wine, but that is not intrinsic to his Naziris. There's two parts to the Naziris. There's obviously the abstention from wine, and there's also a good thing, a positive thing, that you completed the term of your Naziris over here. So you can differentiate between the two, that the Korban Chatas is brought because he did an Avera over here. But that's not necessarily tied to the completion of his Naziris. Completion of his Naziris is signaled by any of the Korbanos. Once I start the process, I bring an Oler Shlamim. So it's signified I've done the mitzvah of Naziris. It's a mitzvah of Naziris. The mitzvah of Naziris is to fulfill Naziris, and in certain instances it's actually a mitzvah, even though it's an Avera also, but it's also a mitzvah. I mentioned Stam Naziris could be a mitzvah because it's good to be mafresh yourself for a certain amount of time from Olam Hazeh, in order to be a titol or be someone who's not going to desanctify themselves by burying people, to be basically someone, a delicate person, a luxurious person for a little bit of time, and then obviously go back to the real world. And Naziris is for a period of time. So the fact that you're able to fulfill your Naziris, right? That's what the karbanos are really brought for. The chatas, yeah, maybe the old and the shlamim, and shaving your head and doing the tnufa. Those are all. It's not part of a kapara process. The chatas happens to be a kapara, but the whole procession, most of the procession, is really done as a celebration for completing your Nazir. It's the party. You have a shlamim. Everyone joins together. You actually bring chalos. You bring loaves of bread that you're supposed to eat together. So it's sort of a celebration that you complete your Naziris, because at the same time it's a mitzvah b'avera, not exactly a mitzvah b'avera, which you shouldn't do, but Naziris has an aspect of a mitzvah and has a aspect of avera. The korbanos you bring is the completion, a sort of a celebration that you finish your Naziris, and maybe the good part of your Naziris. And therefore, your Naziris ends once you start celebrating. Once you start celebrating, you bring your korbanos, so the Naziris is over. You can. That's how we paskin. Tamil Amesim, you can start drinking wine, right? Technically, the Korban Chatas is still there for kapara, but basically most of the procession is not for kapara. It's not called Mechusrei Kapara because as opposed to an asham, a mitzora or a zav, when they bring their karbanos on the 8th day of the purification process. That is entirely right. The entire procession is to provide atonement for the lashon hara that they said, or for the mission that they were not careful in eating and drinking, or have like sanos that they should see emissions of a zav. So it was their fault. So the whole point of the Mechusar Kapara is actual Kapara. The whole procession of Kapara here, it's not for Kapara primarily. It's primarily a celebration of the mitzvah of being Mekayim Nazir, because there is a positive aspect of Naziris over here. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.